Once upon a time, in a quiet little village at the edge of a forest, there lived a widow and her 2 daughters. The elder, Clarice, was the very image of her mother, sharp-tongued, proud, and vain. The younger, Marianne, was gentle, patient, and kind-hearted, just like her late father. Their cottage was humble, with ivy creeping up the stone walls and a small garden of herbs and wildflowers that Marianne tended daily. Though poor in possessions, it was often rich in the scent of rosemary and thyme, and when the sun set over the hills, the whole place glowed gold. But, despite the simple beauty of their life, the house was full of discord. The widow loved her elder daughter dearly, too dearly, and could see no fault in her. Clarice was indulged in every way, praised for every word, excused for every cruelty. She dressed in ribbons and lace even when there was barely enough bread on the table. Marianne, by contrast, wore plain dresses mended at the hem and sleeves. She did all the work, fetching water from the distant well, washing clothes, cooking, cleaning, and tending the fire in winter. Her mother's voice was sharp whenever she spoke to her. "Stop daydreaming, Marianne. You will never be anything but a servant if you keep your head in the clouds." But Marianne did not answer back. She had learned long ago that kindness was the only armor she could afford. One summer afternoon, the sun was fierce upon the fields, and the air shimmered with heat. The widow realized there was no water left in the house. "Marianne, go to the well at once, the one beyond the orchard. It's the freshest. Take the largest jug. Don't dawdle." It was nearly a mile away, but Marianne said nothing. She lifted the jug, tied a kerchief over her hair, and set off. By the time she reached the old stone well, her arms were trembling with fatigue. She lowered the bucket, filled her jug carefully, and sat on the edge to rest. Then she heard a faint voice. "My dear child, might I trouble you for a drink of water?" "Of course, ma'am. You must be very parched in this heat." Marianne set down her jug at once, rinsed it, drew fresh water, and offered it to the old woman, who drank gratefully. "You are too kind, my dear. Few hearts are so pure that they do good without thought of reward." The old woman's eyes gleamed, and suddenly her form shimmered and changed. She was no longer a beggar, but a fairy, glowing faintly like moonlight. "From this day forth, every word you speak shall be a gift. Flowers and jewels shall fall from your lips, the outward sign of your goodness within. Go now, and speak with care." Before Marianne could thank her, the fairy vanished. Marianne hurried home, and when she apologized for being late, diamonds and roses fell from her lips. Her mother gasped and gathered them greedily. When Marianne told the whole story, more jewels fell with every gentle word. At once, her mother grabbed Clarice's arm. "You must go to that well. Do exactly as your sister did." Clarice disliked the idea, but agreed when she saw the glittering heap of treasures. She went to the well, muttering angrily about the heat and dust. When she arrived, the fairy appeared, this time as a beautiful princess, asking kindly for a sip of water. Clarice curled her lip. "I have not come here to serve strangers. If you're thirsty, draw your own water." The fairy sighed. "Then you shall be rewarded according to your heart." Clarice shrugged and went home. When she began to speak, a toad leapt from her mouth, then another, then a snake. Her mother shrieked, blaming Marianne, and drove Marianne out of the house in anger. As the sun set, Marianne walked sadly down the road until a royal carriage approached. The prince saw her tears and asked if she needed help. As she answered, pearls and lilies fell from her lips, and he was enchanted. He brought her to the palace, where the king and queen marveled at her gentle nature. The prince asked for her hand in marriage, and the king agreed. Marianne became the prince's bride, beloved by the people for her kindness and humility. Back in the village, the widow found no comfort in her riches. Without Marianne, the jewels seemed worthless. Clarice, cursed by her own cruelty, drove everyone away and at last vanished into the woods, where some say her voice can still be heard in the croaking of frogs. The widow's greed consumed her, and she died alone one winter night. Years passed. Under the gentle reign of the prince and his fairy blessed bride, the kingdom flourished. Kindness spread like sunlight. Their children grew up humble and wise. Though the fairy was never seen again, Marianne felt her presence in quiet moments, like the faint perfume of roses on the air. True grace and kindness cost nothing, yet they make the world rich. Beauty fades and wealth crumbles, but a gentle heart shines forever.